Bittersweet. Bittersweet. What an odd word. To join together two completely opposite tastes, feelings, and sensations. But I think bittersweet is appropriate for the day. I'm mad. I'm more than a little bit bitter that my dear friend and colleague was taken away from me long, long before what would have been fair. But even if I won't have Mike's body and we won't have Mike's body to enjoy and spend time with, we'll have memories, and for me, they're sweet memories. What a great friend. We fished, golfed badly, walked slowly, traveled far and wide, and it was all really, really good. Mike Ducor needs no words from me to tell you how well he lived his life and of his good deeds. Many of you knew him far better than me. But let me say a couple of things about Mike. I know he was a kind and good man and a good husband. Like some of us, he got an opportunity to do it more than once. He was a good father and a good grandfather. And I'll tell you, I make no claim of imperfection, of perfection. For Mike Ducor, he would make no such claim for himself. But I know how good he was and how well he lived his life. And he was a great lawyer. And that's how our lives intersected 35 or 40 years ago. And if you look at his career, you'll know what I'm going to say is true. A really eminent citizen of our community is dead.
No.
He came down here after he was a great student up at Davis on the law review. He didn't have anything. If you're from Pittsburgh, you say he didn't have nothing. He didn't have anything. And assuming there are no loose forward alumni in the room, I'll say with pride that he got a job at the very best law firm. So there you go, great character. And after he got Pat Kroll and that group straightened out over a number of years, he went on and founded his own law firm. And I want to tell you something from personal experience. It's no mean feat. It's hard. It's risky. It takes hard work. Takes sacrifice. And with his partner, Gary Spradling, and brother Metzger, and some others, they built a really, really good, successful law firm. And I was a client of theirs, and happy to be one. Mike was my lawyer for many years. But more important, he was my friend at the same time. There came a time in my life when I was confined and helpless. And I wasn't used to it, and I didn't like it very much. Mike Ducor stood up for me, and he fought for me the way a friend fights for someone. You know, lawyer Mike was pretty soft-spoken, even unassuming, a steady fellow. But I knew him better because I knew that Indian motorcycle he had. And anybody who had that motorcycle, and as many new cars as Mike Ducor had, years I knew him, there was a rebel inside that state exterior. That rebel inside was reflected in very strong genuinely held progressive views that I shared. Strong views about the need for equality of opportunity and equality of justice and equality of treatment in the justice system. You know, he devoted himself to the bar in so many ways, active in ABTLA, and a lot of other things. You know, he went on to be a very successful mediator when he was done being a lawyer, and he got award after award for that. But I'll tell you what I really, really respected most out of Mike was a program I think he started, and I know he ran, called Project High Hopes. He used to take youngsters who had been caught up in the criminal justice system, and through a lot of time and effort, get these kids out of there if we could. And Mike came around town and he put the arm on us, including me, to hire these kids, give them an entry-level position, give them a chance. And we did it, and it worked. And one of those kids, Lamont Bowen, came to us years ago, some petty theft thing, ended up going to law school, and graduating and having a successful life. Now, that's what an eminent citizen does for his community. Well, time, fate, and disease took their toll. But even as Mike was dying, he was not afraid to live. Just last year, Mike and I and Linda and Michelle, our wives, carted ourselves off to Sicily. And look, I'm 71 years old too, and I'm in good health, and I couldn't get up and down the damn steps. And I don't know how Mike did it, but we crawled all the way up over and around Sicily. But that wasn't enough for Mike. He wanted more. He asked me to take him to Holocaust sites in Eastern Europe, where he had never been. He had never been there. And he wanted to go there despite or maybe because of his condition. So with the help of a couple of friends who are sitting in the back, and Mike and our group went off for 2 weeks. And we trudged through Theresienstadt, Dachau, Mauthausen, the old Jewish cemetery in Prague, the old synagogue in Prague. We saw and encountered and talked to a couple of Holocaust victims. And I want to tell you something about this trip. If you think it was exhausting physically for Mike, it was. But it was even more exhausting emotionally to stand on the dirt where millions of your people were exterminated. You know, Linda, I really think Mike was completing a journey of his own that we maybe didn't know all about.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I'm glad we did it, and I'm glad I got to share it with him. Mike didn't want to die, but he accepted the inevitable outcome of his illness. Shakespeare said, "The stroke of death is like a lover's pinch, which hurts and yet is to be desired." If he was not afraid to live, he was not afraid to die either. He knew all lives must die. All must pass through nature and on to eternity. Well, our beloved and dear good friend Mike has sadly preceded us into eternity. But Mike, if you're listening, thing. One thing is for certain. In due course, we will all join you, and perhaps then our paths will cross again. And I think next is going to speak Bill Burnett. Burnell, I'm sorry. There you are, Bill.